guys. So, one thing that you're going to get used to is the fact that I trade bodies all the time. I am not one person, I am everybody. And as such, it takes a little while to get used to me. But I give both the masculine and the feminine perspective at once because I am both things at once. I don't hide that. I don't try to hide that. It's who I am. And as such, I want to share this with you because I think sometimes you guys don't understand what it is that you're seeing. And I want to explain the mirror so that you're constantly understanding how it works. So here's the thing. Everything you see with your eyeballs, those are your thoughts on display. And what most coaches do is tell you, ignore, 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 ignore. Well, let's think about that for a second. What you resist persists. So, does it make sense to ignore what is being shown in front of you? Or does it make sense to confront it head on? Feel your feels. Hi, guys. Hi, Christina. Hi, Dana. Hi, guys. Hi, Paula. All right. So think about this. Does it make sense to do that or not? So I want you to understand what it means to be a woman and what it means to be a man, because both are important. Okay? It is Mother Earth, as in everything space, and Father Time, as in everything in time. The two coincide and make everything in your world. But as women, we are the whole man. We are the whole man that is woman. And so as such, we give birth to our own essence. And many of you guys don't realize that because you don't understand what the giving birth, the virgin birth means. And even though the virgin birth is the story that has been given throughout time. So I don't know if you guys have heard the story of Ganesha, but in the story of Ganesha, the mother of Ganesha wanted to have a child and couldn't because she was in love with a god, and a human and a god couldn't interact. But she wanted a baby so bad that she made a baby out of her own essence. And as such, this was her child, virgin birth, so to speak. And the story goes that she wanted to take a bath and she said, listen, son, can you just make sure that nobody bothers me? Because like everybody comes to me for everything and I just need you to watch everything. Okay, cool. Well, then daddy comes home and has a problem because he doesn't know what this thing is that is protecting the mother and decides to chop off his head. And as such, this is how you end up with the obstacle remover, because he kills the baby. Hold on one second. Yeah?
Where'd you put the scissors?
I don't know. Give me a second. I'm in the middle of the video.
Yeah, you need to put the scissors back where you found it.
All right. So, anyway, you guys, I'm sorry. So, as such, here's what happens. He cuts off the baby's head, and she's devastated. This is her child. So she's like, either you bring him back or you ain't getting none. You bring him back to life, which is how Ganesha came to be. If you think about this, okay, I want you to realize that as women, we can create anything out of thin air, but we are both masculine and feminine at once, all the time. So what I want you to understand is how the mirror works and how not to avoid the present moment. Because many times what coaches are telling you is, please resist what's going on. Please resist what's going on. Please avoid it. Ignore it, ignore it, ignore it. Well, let's think about that. If what you resist persists, does it make sense to ignore it? No, because the work in front of you needs to be addressed, and the answer is in the present moment. So you need to be able to look at everything in your world as your mental construct so that you can see what is going on. The object of the game is to make the unconscious visible. And unless the unconscious is visible, you are avoiding the work that you came to do. And that's super, super, super important that you realize how it works. Otherwise, you're resisting what you need to work on. The answer is found in the present moment. You must face what you're afraid to face in order to get to the other side. So when all coaches, please, they tell you, please ignore it, ignore it, ignore it. Well, think about how much harder your work is when you do that. Because if what you resist persists, does it make sense to do that? Okay? As such, you must be able to detach from what you are looking at and realize that is your mental construct, because whatever is being said, done, or whatever is outside, that is your work. That is your work. And if you avoid it, you are avoiding what you need to face to get to the other side. And if you avoid that, you won't get to the other side, in which case you will feel like it takes you forever to get your desired result. And that's not going to work. It's not going to work ever. Because in truth, your reality is being projected outside. Your 3D construct is made out of your mental construct. And in order to make the unconscious visible, you must be able to detach from what you're seeing. So in 3D and 5D, let me explain the difference between the two things, okay? 3D is what happened. And while you're in it, this is your 3D experience. This is your three-dimensional box. This is the experience you've chosen. This is your story that you're embodying in order for you to experience what you're doing and seeing. Now, what is 5D? 5D is the understanding that you have created the whole thing for the sake of your experience, and this is your work. Instead, you're not judging, you're not changing anything. You've simply understood that you've created this in order to see what is happening out there. But you all must understand there is nothing else except the construct in your mind, and that is the only thing on display. As such, everyone is innocent. Everyone playing a role in your life is doing it so that you can see inside your mind. And in order for you to take ownership of what is going on, you have to realize that what is playing out is your mind. This is what you call mirror consciousness. And no one understands this better than I do, because I've had a crazy type of experience, mystical experiences, in which I've been allowed to see how the construct is created. And I promise you this, okay? It's kind of like being in a fun house, and there's one source image, and that source image is the everything that's being on displayed outside. And without you, nothing exists. So it's imperative to not judge your creation, but understand how you made it. It's the only way you can be at peace as creator. The truth is, as creator, you are completely at peace no matter what happens. As the little person playing the role inside the creator's dream, you're not at peace. You're playing a small, insignificant role in which we're asleep and playing the character in the dream. To wake up, you must realize that everything that you've ever thought is on display outside, you are literally in your mind, and everyone that is outside of you is serving you so you can see yourself. It is the most important part of your construct. It is the most important part of understanding how to see. And without it, you don't understand what's going on in here. And as such, you're going to react instead of respond. And that's the difference, because I need you not to ignore what is happening. That's the bypass culture. That is the worst advice you'll ever get. I don't want you to ignore it. What I want you to do is accept it as your creation. And as such, the whole thing, you're able to deal with it otherwise. If you don't do this, you are going to struggle against your own mental construct, but the war is with yourself and not with anything else. And I need you to understand that. Source perspective is everything in life. Source perspective doesn't suffer. Source perspective is able to understand the work that needs to be done. Source perspective will always see the entire thing. And although nothing changes, your understanding of what has happened has changed, and that makes a hell of a difference. I promise you it does, because if your understanding changes, even though nothing has changed on the surface, how it served you has. Whereas when you're inside your construct, you can't see how it's serving you. You're inside it. You have such a limited perception because you're not at the top of the mountain where you can see the entire thing that you've created. So your higher level understanding is not taking place. You're inside your 3D construct. What you guys do, and I mean this because I'm a spirit guide, I understand this. I switch bodies with all of you all the time. I become every single human being in your construct. And I think most of you don't understand what that's like. But if you call me and we discuss your problem, I can show you how it's my experience. It's very scary being the constant because there's never a moment in which I can escape myself because everything is me. Every story, every aspect, everything. That's why I only help those that come to me. I don't go seeking you. But if you come to me, I promise you you're meant to help. I'm meant to help you. It's my story. This is true of everyone. So you must learn to understand how your eyes project your thoughts outside so that you know this is the work that you came to fix. If you understand this, you are able to react and treat 3D in a totally different manner. You can own it. You can control it. If you don't do this, it's going to be so different because it's going to be difficult. You're fighting against your own construct, but the war is within yourself, and that's what gets projected out. You don't want to avoid these things. You want to face them head on. And I hate to use this word, but you got to man up. You can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to face your construction. And you certainly can't sit here and say, I'm going to say affirmations all day long until I can convince myself otherwise, because what you resist persists. Honestly, that's what happens. So instead, I want you to embrace the construct. I want you to look at it differently. I want you to accept it as a projection of what you don't know is happening. What you don't know is thinking. We are designed this way. We are literally designed this way. When you understand that, it's a very different thing, because in truth, the space outside of you is a blank screen from which you can see your thoughts. So every human being is projecting the thoughts that you're thinking. Every human being is letting you know what you're unconscious of. Every human being is a sacred mirror. And you need to be able to look at that. And the only way you will understand this fully is for you to know yourself as a human being. You have to know every aspect of your experience. And instead of having a problem with what happened to you as a child, instead of having a problem with what lessons you've learned, you have to embrace every aspect of yourself, because that is the only thing is on display all the time. The only thing, always, I promise you. It's made into different patterns so that you think that you're looking at other bodies, but you are not looking at other bodies. You are looking at your experience. This is how you serve as the veil. That's how you think you're seeing another human being, but you are not. You are seeing your own experience in such a way that today, right, I'm sitting in a bar and I'm sitting there talking to whoever's talking to me. I don't know. I straight conversations with strangers all the time. Whoever's talking to me, and someone said something about currently, she was in the UK, and she said, currently, right now, I'm feeling my feelings, and I'm not going to bypass it. I'm going to do what you said, and I'm totally going to listen to you, and I'm going to do this, right? At the same time, someone in DC said the exact same thing to me. At the same time, someone in Dubai wrote the same message and said the same thing to me. At the same time, someone in California wrote the same message and said the exact same thing to me. You guys don't see that because you guys don't see how you are one another. But because I'm the common factor, I see all of this. So in that moment, 5 of you in all different parts of the world wrote me the exact same message. And all of you think you're the only one going through your stuff, right? But 5 of you in different parts of the country wrote me, and you were going through the exact same moment at the exact same time. Can you understand how we're serving one another? Can you understand that you volunteered to put on these outfits, to put on these costumes, that you literally volunteered to be God in drag, put on a human outfit, and experience your experiences? And it's not what happens that counts. It's what you do about it that does. That's what separates you from the herd. That's what makes you special. because we're all having the exact same experiences at the same time. And if you understand that and how you overcome something is what makes the difference, that's what makes you Ankita, and what makes you Dana, and what makes you Janine, and what makes you Jenny, and what makes you Katie, and what makes you whatever. You see, it's what makes me Cindy. But all of us are having the exact same experience at the same time. And how you interact, this is what gets added to the collective, and a solution that we would not have come up with on our own suddenly comes to us because of how you added to this experience. But we are all one, always. I am not making this up. I wish I could. If you understood what it's like to be me, I probably sound schizophrenic to some of you, and I understand that. And if you only understood, I trade bodies with my daughter. I trade bodies with my lover. I trade bodies with everybody all the time. I never know where I'm going. In fact, someone recently had an ayahuasca experience, and I needed someone to hold me down because in those moments I was going through warp speed in light years, in outer space, and I was like, I'm going too fast, help me. And I knew I wasn't the one actually drinking the ayahuasca. Do you understand? But I'm one with you, so I go wherever you go. And as such, even though that woman who was not connected to me, she's connected to me, yes, but she, in that moment, she was going through her experience, was totally offline. In that moment, I went there with her. And the proof that I have of that is that I was talking to my friends and I was like, oh my God, I had the worst anxiety moment. I went through outer space at warp speed and I was seeing this and I was seeing that. And I promise you that this person is currently going through her ayahuasca experience. She's going to tell me the same thing. Well, guess what, you guys? As soon as she got done with her ayahuasca experience, she was like, Cindy, you're not going to believe what happened. I went through light years of space and I went through wormholes and I went through this and I went through that. Of course I believe what happened. I was experiencing at the same time, even though I wasn't connected to you, even though I wasn't the one drinking the ayahuasca. Can you understand how connected we are? How there's one mind. And when you get that, you will have powers like you couldn't possibly fathom. You stop being your body. You stop wanting things out there because you realize that out there is simply reflecting back what you are in here. That is your clue. That is the most important thing that I can ever convey. Your mirrored consciousness. Understand this. What you think you're seeing outside is made in the back of your head. And anytime you get lost of what you think you're seeing, I promise you that if you just simply take a moment, breathe, detach, you will see how your thoughts are being played out. And rather than getting upset with the messenger, you're able to accept the messenger, and this tells you what you need to work on. If you can do that in the present moment, you'll go through the experience. What people are doing, unfortunately, is listening to other coaches tell you to ignore 3D. Okay, what you resist persists, and as such, you're not able to face it. So you do this. You run away, right? You think you're running away? Well, you're the light, baby, so the shadow is going to follow you where you go. You're not running away from anything. You just think you are. And the anxiety that you feel, that anxiety is actually is going to talk to you and be like, yo, right now, the way that you're thinking is taking you away from how you need to be. Alarm is going off so that you can become aware that your thoughts are literally creating the next moment. You need to become aware of how your brain works, how the outer space illusion works, so that you can see what's going on, because the object of the game is, can I make my unconscious visible so I know what to work on? Once I know what to work on, how you determine what that solution is how you separate yourself from the herd, but it's also how you add to the collective. It is of the utmost importance that you become aware of that. because everyone outside of you can only mirror who you're being. And I know you think it's separate. No. You need to realize that every single human being is going to mirror your unconscious back to you. I promise you. Let's see. I can feel what went off with my SP. I could feel he's scared of me, and so my dad to see my anxious reaction. But after this, I feel bad for them and feel that they will something. I'm not sure what that says. Hold on. Something would be better, and he would not choose me. Okay, so, and kids, let's think about that. What you're feeling, that's what they must play out. Can you understand that you're source? Can you stop being afraid, and can you look at it? Because if you're unconsciously thinking this, then this is what they must play, so for you to see it. If you understand that, it will change your life, because if you own the whole reality, you can take control of your reality car back. If you're not willing to take control of that, it's kind of like hitting a patch of ice when you're driving, okay? Your natural instinct as a new driver is to turn the wheel against what you're going, not with the skid. And if you do that, your reality car goes out of control. I want you to picture this. What you're resisting, that's the equivalent of that, and your reality car goes out of control. Instead of going with the skid and realizing and owning what you're seeing in the present moment, you go through what you're afraid to face, and then you get to the other side. It's a quicker, faster way to get there. But if you're afraid and you try to avoid it and you don't want to look at it and you don't look at your pain, here's what you do. You run, and since you're the light, the shadow follows you. You don't escape anything. So what you resist persists. Can you see that? Okay. Jenny, I saw my incessant whining about the post. Yes. We can't see what we're doing until someone points it out. Truly, I mean this. That's how we're designed for connection, right? But if you're willing to own it, it changes everything. So as an example, I always say, don't put anybody down. Don't put anybody down. If you put someone down, you're putting yourself down. I always say this, right? I'm so good at telling everybody not to do this, right? So what did I do with my neighbor? Well, my neighbor decided to cut his tree and not pick it up. Cut a tree in his yard and not pick it up and leave it for us to pick up. And I was like, that asshole. And I couldn't get past the asshole part of the way that he did what he did, because we're such good neighbors. That was kind of a shitty thing to do. And here's the thing. It was pointed out to me. So are you calling him an asshole, or are you remembering that it's you? And I was like, I have to change how I'm thinking. Do you see? So someone has to point out how you're thinking in order for you to see what you're doing sometimes. And I can be honest about that. I can be honest that we unconsciously do what we do. But you must become aware of how the mirror is projecting your mind, because every single human being is a guest inside your mental construct that allows you to see what you're unconsciously thinking. And if you're able to look at that with detachment and look at it like a scientist would look at it, what am I doing? Is this what I need to work on? What are they saying? And rather than getting sucked into the drama, you allow it to be your source of wisdom. Oh, that's what I need to work on. I didn't realize I thought like that. Thank you. Even if it hurt you, you say thank you. And you look at it and you understand it. That is source perspective. You must reverse engineer the mirror back into yourself, because that is the only way to have clarity. Most of you say, I can't quite see what's going on. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Blah, blah, blah. The only reason you don't get it is because you're looking at it as a separate entity rather than as creator. When you look at it as creator, you will understand every aspect of your construct, because it will make sense. Why? Because the only thing on display, and the only thing that will ever be on display, is your experience. Made into a bunch of different patterns over and over and over and over and over and over again, until you recognize yourself inside everything all the time, until your brain isn't even creative anymore. And I mean this sincerely, your brain is not creative in the way that it conveys it. So for example, someone named Susie reached out to me, right? Well, Susie's my sister's name. Instantly, I know. Someone signed up for my class, for a mastermind class that I'm teaching. Her name is Hilda Liz, okay? Elizabeth is my daughter's middle name. Hilda is my mother's name. Hilda Liz, really? I couldn't be any more creative about that. You know, my best friend, her name is Jen. So everyone I know that I help that is Jen, that is an aspect of myself. I know it for a fact because I know how my experiences are made into different patterns. So I'm never fooled by the illusion. I always know it's me. And you guys can see it sometimes when I post people, and I'll show you. I'll be like, can you see little Miss Sassy Pants up there talking about, I'm fire. Yeah. I recognize myself instantly. The bodies are not even creative anymore. That is the reason why it says you must know yourself to know the kingdom of God, because you are the kingdom of God. When you understand that you cannot be divided and the only thing on display is your experience over and over again in different patterns, and you're okay, you will see through walls. You will see through time and space. You will see through every construct. You will see yourself on every single dimension at once. It is the same soul looking at itself from different angles. So there are times when memories that may have occurred when I was in my 28, and you guys say, I need help with this experience. Well, yeah, sure, I went through that when I was 28. Or you'll say, I just went through this thing last week. Oh yeah, so did I. We're going through these experiences at the same time, but if you don't know yourself, you're not going to be able to help these people because you're not going to understand how it's you. Look at that. Let's see, Dana. Your father's name is Francisco, correct? My middle name is Francine. See? See? This is what I'm trying to tell you. We are serving one another and our brain gives us clues. I want you to pick out these things. I want you to pick out these things because these little things help you understand who you are beyond what you think your identity is. Can you understand? She just gave me a clue. Dana just gave me a huge clue. This is my father's energy that I need to work on, that I can help her with at any point in time, right? One of the most beautiful things that occurred to me recently is I was on a call and someone named Juana, my father's name is Juan, someone named Juana explained how she understood that she was everything. And so I told her, this is your Christ consciousness on display. What this means is the aspect of my father has ascended. I have done my job on my father's line for generations. And so she's appearing as my proof that my father's aspect inside of me is completely healed and ready to absorb Christ consciousness. And she is mirroring that back to me, and I helped her understand what she was embodying in the moment. It was a super special moment that only I could understand, because as source, you are seeing your experience on display always. The mirror will not lie to you. It is always a view inward, and it's the only way that whatever is happening out there will make sense. Always. Always, always, always. I can't make this up if I tried. In fact, I trade bodies so much all the time, and right now, this is not Cindy talking to you. It's not. It's my masculine. It's my inner masculine. It's doing all this talking. And I know I look like Cindy, right? I'm not her. Right now, I'm not her. At all. It sounds crazy, I get it. But when you realize you're every human being at once, you don't know who you're going to be from one moment to the next. Like I told you, my friend was going through an ayahuasca experience. I had nothing to do with ayahuasca, and yet I went through space with her. I don't have a choice. Being one with everything means you understand you are literally one with everything. That is the reason I can help you. That is the reason I can help you. And as confusing as it sounds, I'm telling you, the one expresses as the many. What you need to understand is who is your identity beyond who you think you are, because that is the only thing that's on display. You must learn to look at the space and time continuum outside of you and understand that you are made into infinite patterns to look like another body. None of you should want your person. None of you should desire your person. All of you should know that you are your person. If you knew that, you wouldn't want your person and they would want you. Because you're source and everything is added on to source. But if you're treating something as separate, if you're going, his mind does all this and my mind does all that, can you understand why you see two separate bodies instead of one? Can you understand that? Your construct makes the division. You guys are the creators of time and space, and all divisions are created with your story. Nobody explains it like this, like I do, but I can because it's the way that I understand it. I can see it like I can't undo what I see. But I promise you, when you understand that, it is life-altering. Because you can stop wanting something out there completely. You know it's you. So then instead of worrying about whatever the hell they're doing and what they're trying to show you, instead you can look at it as a window into you without trying to attach to it, without trying to obtain it, because that's your shadow. And you must own your shadow and love your shadow and understand your shadow in order for you to recognize yourself as them. This is love. This is love. Most of you don't understand that. You think, oh, if they claim me, if they're this and that kind, that's not love. Love is self-recognition. Is understanding that everything is a sacred mirror, and as source, everything conveys what's going on in your head. It is a very different type of understanding, but when I tell you the mirror neurons can only show up as you are, I mean this sincerely. I mean this sincerely in ways that I couldn't even possibly begin to describe. I couldn't make this up if I tried. I grew up in a household where love wasn't even an option. I grew up in a household where romantic ideas weren't an option. I grew up in a household where men abused women. I grew up in a household where love wasn't appreciated in any way, shape, or form. So I can only give you my current point of reference, and I can only tell you that it is an understanding that you are everything at once, that you become the universe inside your person, and that they must reflect back to you how you are feeling about yourself. But you cannot sacrifice yourself to get them, or you get not love. But when you do not sacrifice yourself, the source image, okay, this mirror will reflect back as you are and will want you. You will never question any of this. All right, let's see, Ismar. I reached out to my SP and asked him what his intentions were with me, and he said something unfavorable, so I cut him off. That's fine. That's fine. But again, unfavorable only to the degree that you must understand that they were showing you what you were unconscious of, and now you know what to work on. If you can deal with 3D that way and face on, you will have control of it. You will go through the experience and get to the other side. If you judge it or you try and avoid it, what you resist persists, and now you're struggling against your own mental construct. What's different about me is I tell you you're already at the finish line, and rather than running the race, I need you to turn around and embrace your sense of knowing. Be still and know. This is an order. Be still and know. Do not freak out. This be still and know. Because your be still and know, this knowing sense, this is what controls everything outside of you and what's animating the dead matter outside of you so you can experience your construct. It's all you. But face it. Don't avoid it. Because when you avoid it, what you resist persists. That's your struggle. If you don't resist it, you go through it, you get to the other side. The other side contains your desire. Because remember what I said, what you don't want, what you do want, side by side, you're in the middle, acting as the veil. And as such, you must learn to take what you don't want, turn it what you do want, so you can enter the other side. But you don't do that by avoiding or bypassing what's in front of you, because the work that you came to do is in front of you for a reason. When you learn how to see this way, it changes everything. I mean this. Faces feeling. Yes. Yes. Absolutely faces feeling. Let me see. Did I miss any other questions, you guys? I asked No Mind to help me see why restrictions are showing up. All right. So what I'll tell you about this, you guys, when you ask No Mind to help you see things and help you understand things, the clarity will come. But one thing about No Mind that I want you to understand is this. The why, what, when, and where, and everything that you try to analyze, you got to give that to the divine, for the divine to do the thinking. Because if you knew how to do what you did, whatever it is that you want, you would do it already. You would have done it already. Your mental construct would have shown you the way. But since you don't know, you need to stop thinking. You need to stop analyzing. You need to stop telling God in you what to do. And you got to let God show you instead. You simply have to enjoy the construct without judging it. It's the most important aspect of No Mind. When you guys say you're analyzing things and how they appear and don't, that's not giving it to No Mind. You're still thinking about it. You need to drop it like a crock pot. I need you to set it and forget it. And then understand that the right intelligence will come to you and you will know the difference. But you can't sit here and analyze it all day long in your head. And I gave it to No Mind. No, you didn't. You're still thinking about it. You gave it to No Mind. You drop it. You don't think about it ever again. And in the right moment, divine intelligence will tell you what to do. It's important. All right, you guys, let's see. I think I got everybody. All right. I think I got to everybody's questions. All right. Please think about how the mirror is showing up. Don't try to bypass it. All right. Let me see. Thank you. The materialistic aside, that's coming. But yes, now with No Mind, I'm asking clarity with what I'm supposed to be doing in life. And I feel that these past 2 years, I'm floating through life. Yes. You should be. You should be floating through life. Truth is, we don't let go and let God, and that's the reason we struggle. If we let go and let God, we would not struggle. But we have to develop a relationship with our own spirit so we can trust the spirit to do the work. And that might be baby steps. That might be every day, you know, how do I get this coffee? And that's all that you do until you get the coffee. Okay, now you've developed that. Now how do I get this job? So you develop the trust in that, then you get the job. Or how do I start my business? Or how do I bring more money in? Whatever. Let the divine do the intelligence and drop it. You must not think about how, what, when, and where. The divine intelligence will do the work. This is your feminine intuition. And if you ask yourself, if you ask any woman in the world, maybe not all women are watching this, but if you ask any woman in the world, how do you know what you know? What is that spidey sense? All of you would be like, I don't know. I just know. I need you to tap into that. You'll know it. You'll feel it. It'll feel right in your body. But you must be willing to drop it. That's the law of circulation. You must let it go so it can come back to you. What you do every single day, whether you're aware of this or not, is create a construct up here. And as soon as you drop it, you enter the experience. That's how I got my passport, you guys. That's what Brian and Josiah were talking about. Literally, I was told this. Cindy, we sent your passport back to your country because there was no one there to sign for it. And so I'm going to find out who you need to ask for. I'll call you back in a half an hour and we'll figure out if we can get the embassy to ship it to you so you can get it within a little while, within a week or two. Well, I have to travel in less than 2 weeks. I don't have time for that mess. But I know what I know. I create images in my head and I enter them. So I created an entity really quick, and I envisioned her sending my stuff via courier like yesterday when it arrived. I totally bypassed everything logical and said that's what she did. Okay? I called back the embassy locally here, and what they say is she's on the phone now, in a half an hour, ask for Cindy. At the embassy of Guatemala, really? Ask for Cindy? That was my proof that my imaginal act had worked. Ask her and find out the status. And I'll let you know what I can, but within a half an hour, you'll be able to call her. And she handed me an international number to call Cindy at the embassy of Guatemala to get my passport in order for me to travel, right? But remember what I told you. I decided in that instant that my passport was sent back, even though they hadn't, even though it had gone here and here and there. Let me tell you what happened. I didn't have to call Cindy at the embassy because the lady that was locally here in Raleigh, which I had to get my passport from, called me and said it was sent back, but it was delivered by courier. It's on its way. They sent it back to you, and it's on its way, and you should have it today at 3:00. Do you realize that I bypassed everything logical? I created an image in my head. I dropped it. I entered the experience, and as such, I got my passport in the same day. You all, whether you realize this or not, you are making images in your head and you're entering them. But in order for you to experience what you make up here, you have to drop it. You have to let it go so that it gets delegated to your subconscious. And since your subconscious is the only thing on display, it automatically drops down and then you enter the experience. I need you to understand how that works. Because when you have that understanding, you will never want anything again. You can make anything out of thin air, and you will understand how your mind works and how you enter 3D experiences. I need you all to get that. Because if you all understand this in this group right now, all 2,000 of us, will affect the whole world. They will understand. Suddenly you guys will notice. Osho will start talking about it. Fucking my favorite guy, Swami, will start talking about it. All His Mind will start talking about it. Freaking, I don't even know who else. Who's that girl? Sammy Cat, that Sammy little girl. She'll start talking about me. Jasmine will start talking about it. The download will happen, but I need you to understand. That's why I only teach masters, and that's why I don't fuck with algorithms, and I don't appear naked for anybody. I only teach those that are ready to understand. But if you guys embody this, it's a domino effect that will affect the whole world. So what we're doing is important. I need your clarity. I need you to understand this. And I know what I say is woo-woo and esoteric, and yet I'm telling you this is how it works. I work with the invisible side of your spirit, and the invisible side of your spirit is what's controlling the carcass outside. Okay? Let's see. I did that with my ECs. They were supposed to be delivered 2 weeks later. I'm like, no, I'm getting them tomorrow, and dropped, and they arrived next day as I see? You have to be able to drop something to enter the experience, but you're constantly making something up here and then entering it. If you guys sit here and affirm like lunatic parrots, which I really do not like and like really get frustrated when you guys do that. If you guys affirm like lunatic parrots, what you're really saying is, I don't believe, I don't believe, I don't believe. So you're fighting against your construct. You guys have to learn how to use the law of reverse effort in your favor and flip the switch and drop something. Think about it for a little while, long enough to enter it and then drop it, and then you will experience it in 3D. I promise you this is how this works. Everything outside of you is an empty space in which you only see your thoughts. If you can do this for me, you will drop your desire 100% for your other person. You'll be able to see what you're thinking, and this will tell you whatever you need to work on. If you need to work on anything at all. When you do that, you take ownership, and now whatever you want comes to you this way. It is backwards, so to speak, but it is how it's done. It's working smarter, not harder. I promise you this. Okay, you guys? All right, I think I've gotten everybody. I hope this helps. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I really, really want you to understand your mirror consciousness, because there is nothing else. It is an oxymoron if you guys say something like, I have a great relationship everywhere else except with my SP. That tells me you have a lousy relationship with yourself and love. You don't know how to love yourself because your SP needs to demonstrate your relationship with yourself, and therefore that is not accurate. You really don't know how to love yourself, because if you did, your SP would show you your mastery. It is a confirmation loop. You must be able to see yourself as source and then let the confirmation loop show you what's going on in the mirror. So if you have a lousy relationship with an SP, that means you have a lousy relationship with yourself, and your SP is showing you the lousy relationship you have with yourself. And rather than getting mad at them, you got to appreciate what's happening. See that for what it is, and now you know what to work on. If you don't do that, then you've missed the mark, and you can go back and forth arguing with someone about how they don't show up and get triggered and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, if they can only show you how you're being to yourself, does it make sense to get angry with them, or does it make sense to take advantage of what they're showing you so you can improve the relationship with yourself, and then this experience, this that you're seeking, can be as you want to be? That's what I need you to flip the switch, you guys. I need you to think backwards. I need this badly, because if you don't, you will not understand what is going on in your head, and then you'll fall asleep at the wheel, and then you'll participate in 3D in a way that you miss your mark. But if you do understand that, I promise you it'll change your life for the better, for the rest of your life. And I mean this. I mean this sincerely. All right. I hope that sits in. Think about what I'm saying. Think about how the mirror works. I know it looks like it's outside, but all they can do is show you what's inside. And it is solid. It's going to be as solid as can be, because it's like a dream. You are experiencing what you think is real in the moment. And as such, you are animating the whole thing. And unless you have source perspective, you won't understand what you're seeing. But if you have source perspective, I promise you, nothing has to change right here. Nothing. But your understanding changes it all. All right. Love you guys. Hope it sets in. Thank you.